I can definitely hear bees. For me, the almond grower, it's the absolute best time of the year to be in the almond orchard. Pretty much all the flowers are out. So during this time of the year, we are dependent on the almonds to bloom and cross-pollinate. We don't believe that the almond industry would be viable if we didn't have bees to employ to transfer the pollen from the pollinating varieties to the non-pollinating varieties. The bees provide pollinating accidentally. As they're visiting the flowers, they gather pollen on their legs, and as they hop or fly from flower to flower, they accidentally deposit pollen at the top of the pollen tubes, and that starts the pollinating process. It's mind-boggling to think of all the flowers in this orchard, and the bees have to visit so many in order to make an almond. We have so many acres in California of almonds, 750,000 acres, and we need 2 beehives for every one of those acres. This obviously, to me, would seem like probably the biggest pollinated event in the world. Since 1960s, there are less bees in California than there are today. So at the same time, we've been increasing the number of acres of almonds here in California. So we've got things going in 2 different directions. We've got less bees in California and more need for bees in California. So we've had to employ other states and offer a large amount of money to entice the beekeepers from other states to bring their bees here to California. Beekeepers start bringing bees into California probably in the month of December. Not all of them arrive then. Some bees arrive practically the day that we're at 10% bloom. But if you think about the logistics of bringing that many beehives into California, it has to happen over a period of a couple months. December and January, and by early February, we'd like the bees placed in the orchards. The beehive is always growing. The bees that come here are not the bees that leave here, so they don't live all that long. I think we wear their little wings out while they're pollinating here in California. The weather is critical for this pollination to happen. The bees typically don't fly much if it's less than 50 degrees, and they love to fly when it's 60 degrees or more. We track bee flight hours during this pollination season, and we look every day how many hours was the temperature more than 55 degrees and the wind less than 18 miles per hour, because the bees won't fly in a severe wind. If it's cold and the bees don't fly, we just don't do a lot of pollinating. So that'll have an adverse effect on the amount of crop that we pull off an acre. So we're looking for maximizing bee flight hours during the bloom period. Once the blooms aren't viable anymore, then we're not tracking those hours anymore. Now let's check this flower, and we'll move some of the tissue around it and see if it survived the cold weather. So we get rid of the petals, and that takes us down to what we call the jacket. And we pull the jacket off this small little nutlet. And now you can see the pollen tube that the bee brought the pollen to it, and it came down and it formed this little nutlet. So this is the beginning of an almond, and I'm going to pierce it with my fingernail, and we'll look to see what color the tissue is. And you should be able to see that the tissue is bright green inside there, and that tells us that this survived the cold weather the last few nights. If it was a dark brown or black, we would know that it froze. So we're all happy and elated that we have green tissue on this little nutlet. There's a potential almond there.